Being a magnetic person really isn't difficult. There isn't anything that is unachievable about it. There isn't anything that you really have to do that is kind of crazy and out of there and like something that you're probably not already capable of doing. So, before I get started, I'm just going to say I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I have other videos where I go more in depth about these sort of things, but I'm going to kind of keep my personal experiences out of it just so I can give you something that is more like list by list, something that is easy to follow. And it's something that has taken me maybe months to really get accustomed to. But again, it's not difficult. It takes repetition and it takes being consistent with it. But absolutely being magnetic is something that anybody can be. It is something that when you are authentic with yourself and you're honest with yourself, it is something that can come to you really easily. So getting into it, really, we're just going to start. We're going to get going. Is figuring out who you are. So being magnetic really stems from, again, in my experience, from being authentic with yourself, knowing who you are, figuring out who you are, the things that you like, the things that you value, and accepting yourself for that because you are confident in who you are. And, it builds this unshakable confidence that nobody can break down because, you have understood everything about yourself to the point where nobody can say anything about you that you don't already know. And I have made a video on this. It was 10 journal prompts about like building your confidence. So I'm just going to say the 10 journal prompts real quickly. You can watch the video if you want to get more in depth, but for purposes of this video, I'm just going to go through them quickly. Number 1, the first journal prompt, what are your values? You could value honesty, empathy, kindness, humor. You could value the environment and taking care of the environment, whatever it is, make sure it's authentic to you. Again, for all of these prompts, really reflect on them. Make sure they authentically, relate to you and your situation and your life. Don't really look for, what other people have experienced in other people's situations to understand yourself. I feel like when we try to understand other people and we really look to other people, that is sometimes when we can, stray from our intuition and our feelings. So with that said, going on to the second one, what are your interests? This includes movies, TVs, music artists that you listen to, things that you watch, all those sorts of things. What are your hobbies? That could be skateboarding, ping pong, reading, doing puzzles, anything that you really like to do with your time, list those things. Number 4, what were your favorite hobbies as a kid? Sometimes I definitely feel like, the things that we did as a kid and the things that we really liked as children really shape and inform who we are as adults. So thinking back to what you liked to do as a kid, whether it was, again, skateboarding. I liked skateboarding when I was a kid and I still kind of like it too. I loved reading. So whatever it is as a kid, really reflect on that and understand that can also relate to who you are as an adult. Sometimes inadvertently we carry those same values and those same interests and hobbies throughout our entire lives. And it's fun to think back on it too. And prompt number 5, when do you feel most fulfilled and happy? It could be, when you're doing your skincare routine, when you're doing other people's hair, when you are, sitting, listening to the birds in the park, whatever it is, write it down, whatever makes you happy. And number 6, when do you feel most upset and angry? This could be times when you were talked over, overlooked, made fun of for something, or if you see any type of injustice, anything that upsets you, write those things down, whatever it is, that is upset you, made you angry. Sometimes it can be easier to talk about the things, that make us angry and that upset us in order to also find the opposite of that, the things that make us happy. So if you have trouble going, thinking about one prompt, maybe skip around because, these things can lead us into other situations. Like if you're having trouble thinking about your childhood, but maybe you're thinking about things that made you upset, sometimes those things can stem from things that happened in your childhood and the way that you were treated in your childhood. So bounce around, feel out these prompts however they relate to you. Prompt number 7, what are your insecurities? This one can be difficult and uncomfortable to get through, but it's definitely necessary to understanding who you are and being your authentic self, because sometimes, I told myself I was going to keep my opinions out of this, but sometimes insecurities, we can realize that, those insecurities were placed on us from other people and they might not even be things that we're insecure about. So listing those insecurities, whether it's like the color of your hair, the texture of your hair, like, the shape of your face, the size of your hands, like whatever it is, write down whatever it is you feel insecure about or things that like you sort of look in the mirror and you aren't really happy with, write those things down and try to get to the core of that. Think about like, okay, is that actually something that I feel insecure about? Or do I feel like that was something that was, you know, told to me when I was in 3rd grade, that somebody made fun of the shape of my hands or somebody made fun of the shape of my face, and I don't actually feel that way about myself. That was just something that somebody else told me. So definitely think about that. There isn't anything, like everything makes you you for a reason. There isn't anything wrong with you. And I think when we are authentic with ourselves, again, going through these prompts, being honest with yourself, that is when you can really, you know, accept yourself and feel confident in yourself. And this being honest with yourself creates a sense of confidence that, again, is unshakable. Nobody can break it. And it allows you to be magnetic and to be, you know, just unapologetically yourself. And you are going to attract those situations that align with you. And on to prompt number 8. When have you acted out of ego or out of hurt that hurt somebody else or yourself? Recognizing and rectifying the times where we have hurt others, both unintentionally and intentionally, allows us to accept ourselves, forgive ourselves, and love ourselves for all our mistakes and our faults. We're not perfect, and sometimes we do act out of emotions, but forgiving ourselves gets us one step closer to building a personality and a confidence that we accept wholeheartedly. Again, that one can be a little bit uncomfortable, thinking about times where you were hurting someone because you kind of wanted them to be hurt. But the more authentic with yourself you are, and the more accepting of yourself you are, the more that you can create a sense of confidence that, again, nobody can penetrate, because you've accepted that thing about yourself. You've accepted sometimes, like, yeah, I have said some mean things, and I've said some mean things to myself as well, like in addition to other people. But I've accepted that. I've forgiven myself for that. And, you know, moving on, we don't have to harbor on it. It doesn't have to keep being part of our personality because we've let that go. And number 9 is, when have you let others be the main character of your story? These include times when you've made another person the main role of your life, giving up your power to make them the star of your movie. We should each be the main star of our own lives, because we're all we have at the end of each day and at the end of our lives. So think of the times you've given up your power in any type of relationship to make another person happy while you remained unhappy. And yeah, those are times where maybe you wanted to say no to something and you said yes instead because it made other people comfortable. Think about those times where you really put other people first, despite how you were feeling, and be honest with yourself about that. And also be honest with, you know, while you're being upset with other people, be honest with yourself that there have been times, you know, part of that is giving up your power. You also have the control of your life, first and foremost. And learning that and being honest with yourself can sting, because, you know, that is times that we've given up our power. That is times where we have felt powerless, where we have let other people take control. And again, that can sting. That can be difficult to be honest with yourself about, but it definitely pays off in the end, because you are, again, becoming authentic with yourself and being honest with yourself in a way that nobody can take that away from you. And the last prompt, number 10, what do you love most about yourself? And I put this one last because it should be like fun and it should be sweet, and you should list as many things as you possibly can that you love about yourself, which could include anything internal, external about yourself. The longer the list, the better. The more things that you write, the better. You should also love yourself for having the courage to come face to face with the dark parts of yourself with honesty, which is what you're doing now. You're coming face to face with yourself about your shortcomings, your insecurities, the times where you weren't so nice, the times where you were giving up your power, you weren't your best self, but you were being honest with yourself and you're accepting that, you know, and you're moving on and you're being better. Not everyone even acknowledges the parts of themselves that have done harm to themselves and to others. So it's so incredibly brave that you've chosen to do that. Again, not everybody goes through their lives thinking that, you know, they could be healing, they could be, you know, putting themselves into better situations. They could take control of their lives and be their best selves, you know. But that is why you're here. You're here to transform, to be your best self, to be magnetic, to be honest, and to be really just like a powerhouse. Because when you are honest with yourself, and you know, there could be situations people are trying to bring you down and you're like, yep, I already know that about myself, like what next? Because, you know, and that makes them uncomfortable, because they're probably trying to bring you down to their level to make you miserable like they are, but you're not falling for it because you're not miserable. You've accepted every single thing about yourself, You know, you've accepted your faults sometimes where you could have showed up better for yourself or for other people or whatever it is. And you're acknowledging that, you're accepting that about yourself. So there's nothing that anybody can do to bring you down because, you know, you're not going down. You're continuing to move up. And, you know, if that is how they feel, they're trying to bring you down, you're just going to leave them where they are. You're going to leave them down there. You're not stooping to their level. And also, I think a part of being, you know, after going after those journal prompts is using daily affirmations. I think of them as reminders of how amazing you are, of how strong you are, and it has allowed me to find gratitude in every situation that I'm in. So the more grateful and optimistic you are, the more magnetic you become because you're appreciative of everything that you have, everything that you've experienced, good or bad. So, and that also relates back to being authentic with yourself, going through those journal prompts, figuring out the times where, you know, you weren't your best self, but sometimes where you were your best self and the things that you do love about yourself. So it is taking the dark parts of yourself with the light parts of yourself and, you know, knowing that they coexist and, you know, we're not all perfect, but it is accepting yourself no matter what. I wrote down 3 affirmations. The first one is, I'm strong enough to get through this. The second one is, I'm grateful for having a strong body. Number 3 is, I'm powerful, creative, and intelligent. Now you can change these up however you want. You can say them in different situations that you're in, like I'm strong enough to get through the day. I'm strong enough to get through this situation. I am grateful for having a strong body that gets me through my workouts every day. I'm grateful for having a strong body that is going to get me through this walk around the neighborhood, this walk around the park. Or you could say, I'm strong, I'm courageous, I'm creative, I am so funny, I am so wonderful, I'm a joy to be around. Whatever it is you want to say about yourself, make sure, you know, that you say them consistently, that you know, the more you say them, the more they become like real to you and the more it's easier to believe about yourself. Because when I first started affirmations, they felt very foreign, they felt very uncomfortable. Now it is just something that I do, you know, second nature, that is just, it just comes naturally to me. I do them in the morning, so you can do them in the morning. You can do them throughout the day when you need them. You can do them at the end of the day as like pieces of gratitude, you know, thinking about things that you're grateful for. If you're grateful for having a room to yourself, having your own apartment, having your own house, being able to afford your house, being financially stable, even if it is something, which leads me into my next point, that you want to embody about yourself. Affirmations can help that way in manifesting your reality and in manifesting, like being magnetic and imagining yourself drawing these opportunities to yourself. So like if something that you really want to embody and something that you really want to draw into yourself is, you know, having a career, living through your passion, and, you know, that being your main source of income. So say you are an artist, say you're a painter, and you really want your paintings to take over your full-time job, and you want to be able to leave your full-time job, whether like wherever you work, you want it to take over that and you want it to be your main source of income. Just saying affirmations that your paintings provide your, you know, a financially stable life for you, that you don't have any other worries, that is your main source of income. That can be an affirmation for you. And again, the more you say that, the more you can envision that and embody that self within yourself right now. That is just going to bring it about even faster and even quicker. I kind of wanted to say both of them at the same time. But yeah, affirmations give you the strength to keep going, to get through whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're going through. And in addition to embodying your most abundant self through like affirmations and through visualizing, you can also think about how your most abundant self would act. What would your daily habits be? How would you speak to people? How would you speak to yourself? What mindset would you have? Would you be optimistic? Would you still be negative? Would you be harping on things that, are holding you back? Would you continue these behaviors and these habits that you are still going through? So if you reflect on who you are now, would you continue those things as your best self? Because I can also think of like things right now that I do that I, you know, and to be honest with myself, that I shouldn't continue doing because I know they're unhealthy for me. Like whether it's like mindset, things that I think about throughout my day, and, you know, that I try to recognize. Like even this morning, I was recognizing myself thinking about some things, and I was like, hey, like that is not helping me right now. that is not like a healthy mindset to be in. And I just, I was understanding and I stopped. So being honest with yourself about the ways that you want to embody your best self and the things that you envision for yourself, being honest with that. And all of this is basically to say, being honest and authentic with yourself is going to bring you to being your most magnetic self. Like all of that just goes hand in hand. And the more you practice every single day, again, with affirmations, with telling yourself, how strong you are, how persistent you are, how, kind, optimistic, positive, funny, whatever it is, the way that appreciate the way you really think, whatever it is you want to, affirm and visualize about yourself, absolutely do it, because that is just going to get you closer and closer to being, your best self. And, every day we are trying to, take one step out of our comfort zone and to do things a little bit more uncomfortable, because again, if I think about who I am right now, sometimes the way I think are just like the way that is comfortable for me. And in order to, be a better version of myself, I have to think about things a little bit slightly more positive that might be a little bit uncomfortable for me. But being in that discomfort zone is going to push me to be my best self no matter what. So, even taking those little steps every single day, even if it is like slightly rewiring the way that you think in just like a single moment, and you recognize that isn't helping you, that isn't like positive in the long run, that is amazing also in and of itself to notice and to focus on, because like I said, a lot of people don't recognize ways that they could be better. So recognizing where you are not being your most authentic self, recognizing where times where maybe you are like focusing on trends, you're focusing on what other people are doing because you don't really know yourself. Getting to know yourself is the very, very first step, and being comfortable with yourself creates a sense of confidence that cannot be broken down at all, because again, you've noticed those things about yourself and accepted the things about yourself where maybe you weren't your best, you weren't your kindest, but that is also just an experience. Like, we're just people, we're just humans, we're trying to figure this stuff out. And along the way, we do hurt people, we do hurt ourselves, but forgiving yourself for that, also forgiving other people, not harping on, negative emotions so much, is really, really going to be helpful. And, again, being honest with yourself about that. Like, why would you want to keep carrying those wounds and that pain with you for so long? Like, that doesn't have to become part of your personality. It isn't part of your personality. Part of your personality is the things that you value, the things that you like, the things that you love doing, what makes you happy, and the things that you love about yourself. All of those journal prompts that I talked about, that is basically, the things you've experienced up until now, and what you want to continue experiencing with your values, the opportunities that you want to have based again on your values and your likes, and where you see yourself in your future. So all of that to say, basically, being magnetic is not difficult. And I also wouldn't be honest in this video if I didn't talk about like some of the downsides about being magnetic. So when you are attracting everything to yourself, that also includes people who might want to take advantage of you, people who might see your light and want to take it for themselves, or people, again, who just see something in you that they really want to take and that they feel like they can get part of in their life, and they feel like you might not notice what they're doing, because I have been in situations before. I'm just gonna make this quick. I've been in situations before where I didn't really know myself. I didn't know that people were trying to take advantage of me, and I just kind of let that happen. Again, being honest with myself, that I gave up my power. But the more I've learned about myself and the more I've reflected on my situations and experiences, I have noticed that I have given that power away, and it was up to me to take that power back. Nobody was going to do it for me, because again, we are the only people that we have in our lives. It's just yourself. That's the only person you're going to have from the moment you're born to the moment that you pass. So loving yourself, and loving yourself from a very core of accepting yourself, who you are, the things that make you you, and knowing that those are like super unique and amazing, and the way you see the world is super unique and amazing, is very, very important. And the more that you know yourself and accept yourself, as you're bringing in like amazing opportunities, and also opportunities that you might really not align with. Again, like if it's somebody trying to take advantage of you, you know yourself enough to know that that is not something that you want to do. You can trust your intuition enough to know like that isn't for me, like that doesn't feel right for me, because you know yourself, and you know, again, you know your intuition. That is also part of it. You understand and follow your feelings in every situation, and you have like a balance of your mind and your heart. But yeah, again, being magnetic is bringing in situations that are for you, like all different types of situations. You can pull in situations that you know, are sort of a lesson sometimes. Like I remember I just got an email the other day that, you know, I had to say no to, that I wasn't interested in, but I also did it in a kind and respectful way. So that was sort of a lesson to me, to say no, because I have had trouble saying no in the past. Again, this could, you know, relate to you, or maybe you have said yes when you wanted to say no. And you've put yourself into uncomfortable situations that you really didn't want to be in, but you just didn't want to upset the other person. So knowing yourself is knowing when to say no too. It is being discerning and knowing that all the amazing opportunities, all the things that come to you, you know, might not all feel for you. They might not feel aligned with you. Maybe they were aligned with you 3 months ago, and you know, you don't really feel like doing that now, and that is okay. You can say no, because the more you say yes to the things that are for you, the things that you want to do, and the things that the universe is giving to you that align with you, the universe is just going to give you more of those things. So wherever you spend your time and wherever your mind goes, you're just going to bring in more of that into your life. So make sure that you are saying yes to things that you truly want to say yes to, things that truly align with you and your authentic self. And you're thinking about things that are really helpful for you and that are healthy for you, that are making you feel good about yourself. So yeah, I think that was everything I wanted to say today. And I hope it was a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I hope, you know, that makes you feel like being magnetic isn't difficult. Drawing in things that, you know, work for you and drawing in opportunities isn't hard. It's just sometimes we can have a resistance to it, and you know, we can also think that things are so hard, which makes things harder. I have been in situations where, like the other day, I got a phone call and I kept overthinking it. And I was like, you know, I don't really feel like talking on the phone right now. But I didn't want to push that off until, like, you know, 1 hour me in the future. Me 1 hour in the future. That sounded weird. I didn't want to push it off to me that was 1 hour in the future. So I just took care of it right in that second. And that was also a period of growth for me. It was being uncomfortable, but also knowing that me in the future would be happy that I did that thing in the past. So I don't know where I was going with that, but it is just doing things that are difficult, to be authentic, and to be honest with yourself, to do the really, really tough things that, you know, on the other side of that, you're going to be happy. It isn't doing the things that are tough that you're going to be miserable through and that you hate and that you don't want to do. But it is doing the difficult things that you know you really want to do, and that on the other side of doing those things, you're going to be really, really happy that you did them. So that is what I'm talking about in this video. And being magnetic and, you know, having a magnetic personality, magnetic just persona, aura, all of it, isn't difficult. And, you know, I think the more you become authentic, again, talking from personal experience, the more you are authentic with who you are, the more you are going to be discerning about the things that work for you. And the more you go to those yeses that you really care about, you're going to bring in more yeses, and you're going to become more magnetic, and you know, it's just going to be like a cycle where it's just going to keep feeding you, basically, because you are so aligned on who you are and the things you value and the things you want to do, that everything is just going to draw to you. And yeah, I hope that was helpful. I hope, you know, this is going to be something that is easy, because it isn't difficult. Is really just knowing yourself, and then also having the discernment to say yes to the things that are for you, say no to the things that are not for you. And again, that can be something that is learned over time. It's learned over months, but you know, if you take that step every single day, you're going to get there. You're going to be, you know, your most magnetic self, hopefully by the end of the year, because this is April. I think you can do it. I think it's possible. Absolutely. And maybe not even like your most authentic self, but like more authentic than you are now. And I think like when you are really working with the things that work for you and you're moving with your intuition, living by your intuition, and your feelings and what feels right to you, you're just going to keep reaching those goals and learning more about yourself and reaching higher and higher and higher. And, you know, you're going to reach places that you didn't even know were possible, that when you're going with the flow, when you're, you know, expressing gratitude again with your affirmations, and you are just going with how you feel every single day and, you know, what feels right to you. It's just, everything is just going to, I feel like, just fall into place like dominoes. It's just going to keep, you know, moving, and flowing very easily. So yeah, that was it. I hope that end part made sense. My mind is kind of a mess. So I think I'm going to end it there. But yeah, I hope you got something from that. And I will probably be back with another video. I think more just sort of in this wheelhouse about saying no when you mean no, saying yes when you mean yes, and, you know, learning how to do that, because that is something that I struggle with. I've been getting a lot better at it, but I would definitely like to share my expertise and my opinions about that and my experiences. So that will be next week's topics, basically, and getting through that, because it is not difficult, and that can come with, you know, that can be because we have a lot of responsibilities, whatever your situation is, but I'm going to talk more about that next time. So if there's anything else that anybody wants to hear, you know, you guys want to hear me talk about anything, or go more in depth about, let me know. But that is that for now. I'm going to finish the rest of my tea, and I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.